Hey guys, Chris Carden here from C2 Media. As you guys know, cameras and camera gear can be extremely expensive. So when I see something on the market that I think is worth it in terms of quality and price, I have to tell you about it. For instance, this 7 Artisans 25mm 1.8 lens. I got this lens for 80 bucks, brand new. I mean, where are you gonna find that? This is a great buy and I'm probably gonna do a video about it, but I don't wanna talk about lenses today. Today, I want to talk about one very specific camera. I want to talk today about the Sony FS700. It is the older sibling to my Sony A7 III, which I have named Marcus. Yes, I name my cameras, don't judge me. Say hello, Marcus.
I am Marcus. Sony model A7 III. Sup?
Today, Marcus is going to help us talk about the FS700 and with all the other cameras on the market, whether this camera is still worth buying. What do you say, buddy?
Let's roll.
I was told you wanted to interview me.
I was told to interview you, yes.
All right. Should I introduce myself?
Yes.
I am a Sony model FS700.
700. An entry-level cinema camera introduced in 2012. That would make you rather old.
I wouldn't say
Some would say obsolete.
Have I done something to offend you?
Not at all. I'm simply wondering why you're here.
Because I'm the newest addition to C2 Media.
Yes, but what can you do, actually?
Well, I am a dedicated video camera with a superior Super 35mm CMOS sensor, super slow motion capability, and an interchangeable E-mount lens system, offering unrivaled flexibility.
That's what you are. I asked what can you do? For instance, as a hybrid mirrorless camera, I can shoot both stills and video.
I see. Well, I shoot in 1080p up to 960 frames per second.
Impressive.
Thank you. Also, I am 4K capable.
I can shoot in 4K. Internally,
I utilize an E-mount.
So do I.
I have customizable picture profiles.
Me too.
I can capture time-lapse video in camera.
Ditto.
I have built-in ND filters, and I cost half as much as you do. No witty comeback? Nothing to say.
So what you're saying is you're cheap.
Kiss my ass.
I think that could have gone better.
I didn't want to interview him. You made me.
Nope.
Take your hands off me.
Anyway, this is the Sony FS700.
This is so unfair.
You might have heard in the interview that the camera can't shoot 4K internally, but with a factory upgrade and the purchase of an additional module, you can shoot 4K externally. Now, if you don't need 4K, don't worry about it. Stick with the FS700. 4K version is called the FS700U. But 4K is not why you buy this camera. For about $1,200, you can literally bend time and space. I bought the FS700 for a couple of reasons. One, I needed another dedicated video camera. I already have the Sony A7 III, which is a great hybrid. You can't beat it, it's a workhorse. But it does have that time limit when you're shooting video. I have a C100, but it doesn't shoot high frame rate. So I was able to find this camera, the Sony FS700, which, like the C100, does have built-in ND filters, but unlike the C100, can shoot up to 960 frames per second. Now in the real world, the only usable high frame rate is probably up to about 240 frames a second, but that's still faster than my Sony A7 III. Using the S&Q function on the camera, you can set the specific frame rate. Here we're looking at 120 frames per second. Nothing to really complain about here. It looks good. Moving on to 240 frames per second, this is the sweet spot and probably the most impressive feat this camera can perform.
It is rather beautiful. Perhaps I was being too hard on the old chap.
Here's where it breaks down a little bit. At 480 frames per second, we begin to see some degradation.
And the colors get all wonky.
Okay. Finally, 960 frames a second. Now, although I do like watching this, there is a significant crop and loss of resolution. Unfortunately, really not usable in most situations. So it's about 7 o'clock here on the beach, and I'm lighting myself with my own cell phone because the camera isn't really able to pick up anything, even at its highest settings, anything usable anyway. It would be very, very noisy, and you really wouldn't want to use it. But that's not why you get this camera. It isn't a low light beast like the A7 III or the A7S III. This camera is good for those high frame rates, but also you can go as low as 1 frame per second, which allows you to do time-lapse. One of the things to consider when you're shooting high frame rates is that you need a whole lot of light. Conversely, this camera doesn't do great in low light situations. Now, those are based on empirical tests that I have done. If somebody out there has figured out how to shoot in low light and not get a lot of noise in the shadows, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe I can share it with the rest of you guys. So I'm going to be spending a lot more time with this camera and hopefully figuring out its capabilities as time goes on. The more I use it, the better I become familiar with it. So far, I'm happy with it, but you guys saw the footage and you guys tell me whether you think this camera is worth buying in 2020. Here's an opinion that matters. Marcus, what do you think of it?
I think we kicked ass and they should all subscribe.
Well, I hope you like what you saw, and if you do, please feel free to hit the like button.
And the notification bell.
Right, the notification bell. Please hit the notification bell to make sure that you're aware of when the next video is coming out. And until the next time, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.
Peace, homies. We're out.